Yes, I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. I was born in Harris Hospital and graduated from Eastern Hills High School and did my first 2 years of college work at what is now University of Texas at Arlington. Yes, in Austin, because I went to UT Austin because at that time, what is now UT Arlington only had a 2-year music program, and I was a classical music major, and so I had to move to what we call South Campus, UT Austin, to finish up. So I graduated with a Bachelor of Music degree there. My mother's family is all musical. My dad was tone deaf, but my mother's family has always enjoyed music, and I started taking piano when I was 6 years old and was good at it, and it just, I guess, was pretty much natural after that. When I came back from getting my doctoral work, which of course was not in music, I started attending my mother's church, and the organist there was getting ready to move. Her husband had been transferred, and they found out I could play. In fact, she had asked me to play one rather tricky organ finale that I had used when I lived in Scotland, when I played for some services there. And I did that, and so they immediately drafted me to be the organist there. So I fell into it sort of, I won't say by accident, but it worked out well. My master's degree was a seminary degree. I went to Asbury Theological Seminary in Wilmore, Kentucky, training for the Methodist ministry, and of course after that I pastored. But my master's degree was a Master of Divinity in Theology. It sounds awfully big. We usually just call it MDiv, but I did that in Kentucky. But I've taught classes on classical music, music appreciation, this and that, history and politics of the Holy Land, but it's a non-credit something, and it pays me all of $30 for the course there. It's 10 weeks, 1 hour a week, and it's very enjoyable, so I enjoy that. But that's my basic exposure there. I did some courses, just brief courses when I was in Edinburgh for people that were hoping to start work in or degree in religion, and of course I would do church history since that was my field. At times, and I have also taught out at Carswell. The Columbia College, Missouri has an off-site program for base personnel, and I've taught there. I've not done this recently, which is why I just now remembered it, but I've taught classes out there as an adjunct for things like world religions, New Testament, philosophy of religion, things like that. But they have not asked me in the past 3 or 4 years, and I think it's because Columbia probably has changed the course requirements for the various degrees, but it's for base personnel, either enlisted or staff. That's been highly enjoyable. So far, I think I've been in 21 countries, not counting airport stops. I mean, I stopped at Beijing for a few hours, things like that, Kuala Lumpur. But I've been in most of the Western European countries, with the exception of Ireland, oddly enough, and the Scandinavian countries and Finland. I've not done them. And Holland, or the Netherlands, which is a bit odd because my mother's family name was Dutch. I've been in very close. I've been in Antwerp, but I didn't get there. But all of the Western European countries I love very much, and of course living in Britain for 5 years, that made a big difference. And in Asia, I've been in Uzbekistan, which was very good. The people were great. India 3 times, Japan twice, Myanmar twice, the Holy Land once. I'm in my 24th year at Texas Wesleyan. I started there in the fall of 1995. My interests and hobbies, I'm an extremely good cook. I am not creative, but I can usually spot a good recipe when I see one. And it seems to be genetic. I never knew my maternal grandmother, but they said she was the best cook in North Texas, and 5 of her 6 daughters were extremely good cooks, and a lot of my cousins are good cooks. So I think it is genetic with us. My grandmother Mcdonald was a good cook, but she was very plain. But the mother's side of the family, we all loved to eat and enjoyed cooking. And of course, my grandparents were farm people, and oftentimes farm wives are some of the best cooks because they have the raw material right there handy. But I also do travel photography, very basic. I've never had a course in it, but I seem to be good at it. I'm an avid reader. I always have about 5 or 6 books going at the same time. And also I have a good collection of classical CDs. I've already been listening to some today in the car. So, and I'm not a TV person, but I watch DVDs and I enjoy these. But and I have 3 cats. I enjoy them very much. But these are probably my main hobbies and interests there. And of course, academically, I'm always trying to learn more. So that keeps part of my reading busy at home as well. I could retire at any time, but I still enjoy the teaching, and some students have threatened my life if I retire. But we'll see. The educational world can be very touchy these days, and I don't do things impulsively. But there are times when I'm tempted to say, oh, the heck with it, and throw something in, but I've not got there yet. but I'm guessing perhaps another year. But I think there are some books in me to write, but it'll have to be sometime when I'm in a place where I'm not always taking care of people, shall we say that. And it would be books not only academic, but also for the layperson's level too, because as a single person, I've learned a lot of things, and also as a single professing and practicing Christian, and I would like to write some books about that, which would probably rattle the bars of some cages, but I'm supposed to be 1/16th Irish, and they're supposed to be ready for a fight, so that won't bother me at all. One thing I hope I will be remembered for is that I am a responsible person, that when I say I'll do something, it gets done. Since I am also a practicing Christian, when I'm teaching religion courses, I want to make sure that I'm faithful to the gospel in its presentation, but also faithful and responsible to the people who are asking honest questions, even when they disagree. And I want to be remembered as one who definitely covers the material in the text, not just the text, but also in the course, responsibly and honestly. My legacy, I hope, would be to getting people to do their own thinking, and especially sometimes, as I say, people think they should leave their head on a shelf at the front door in things pertaining to church. That is not the case. Now, there are some things that we would never be able to grasp. I mean, it's beyond us, but there's plenty that we can. And I would encourage Christians not to just follow some of the stuff that's on the internet, which is a lot of times pure rubbish, but do their own thinking, their own research, because there are tools there. But I have found that many Christians are scared to death of anything remotely intellectual. That's not good. And I would like to see them be able not only to have a testimony to their faith, but also to know why they believe what they do and be able to defend it. I would like that. So I encourage people to think in matters of the faith, but think in general. I think that thinking is not a high priority in many people's lives, but it's so important and can be tremendously exciting. Aristotle said that until we find what we're cut out to do, he called this intellechy, we're not going to be fully happy and satisfied. And even when I was pastoring churches in the Northeast, I was doing quite a bit of teaching, and I think that applies. I seem to be a born teacher, we'll say that. Also, my favorite aunt when I was a child was my Aunt Peggy. She was a retired school teacher. Loved children, elementary school is what she taught. And that made, I'm sure, a great influence on me. But even in elementary school, I found myself, gee, it would be fun to teach things there, this, that, and the other. And I think I found my niche. It took me a while to get there, perhaps, but good things in life are worth waiting for.